Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look on today. So we're going to briefly look at this Dixie, which is doing the same sort of thing, and then we'll look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'll make some more videos throughout the day. So Dixie basically carrying on with this channel, and to be honest, if we get a just a rough trend forming here, we can see that this has been pretty relevant from all the way back here. So it just emphasizes the channel that we're in, which is within this pitchfork. A breakout of here would be pretty aggressive, and that would be pretty nasty for cryptocurrency. But remaining within this channel gives us the ups and the downs, and the ups and the downs. So at the moment, we're still being rejected from the top of this channel. So I would expect to pull back, to at least the top level here of support, bringing us to about 92.9. Pretty much 93 flat. But if we break down any further than that, then we'll be looking at this the center of this pitchfork. So it's, like I say, I mean, we've gone through it many times, many times. The Dixie's in a trend reversal, so we are bullish on the Dixie, which just adds a little bit more pressure to price action for cryptocurrency as a whole. So that's that out of the way. Oh, and briefly, we'll have a look at Bitcoin dominance. Still dancing around at 60%. So until we break down, and get rejected from 60% dominance, it's just everything's on an equal playing field. Alts, Bitcoin, everything can particularly be okay to move. Now, the right thing to do, really, if you were wanting to be extra conservative, I suppose would be to hedge into both. There's every chance that Bitcoin will bounce from here because this is a very significant support zone, but a breakdown from here wouldn't be particularly nasty for Bitcoin. It would just be a lot better for alts. So having, playing both sides is fine. It's definitely fine, in my opinion, anyways. It's just my opinion, but this is how I've chosen to play it. At the moment, alts and Bitcoin all show very promising signs at this level. It could go either way for either asset. But for me, hedging is always the best way because I like to employ strict risk management because I'm a boring geezer and I don't try and go for the moon every time. Right, so let's have a quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's doing very well, actually, I have to say. So we're breaking above this zone here, which is where we've had so much trouble, and it's pretty much where we're at right now, 58 to 58,500 thereabouts. Now, if we zoom in a little closer than this, that's the wrong way. I am using a laptop, by the way, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm not a laptop kind of guy. It's just I've got no choice but to use it at the moment, so it might be a bit jerky video. But basically, a closure above here should allow for a continuation up to the top of the Bollinger Band, coming in at 61,500, and then at that point probably have a little overreach area, and then come back down. I would imagine. I don't think we're ready for any particular moonshot with the Dixie looking the way it is. A moonshot is not out of the question, but it's not particularly on the radar, I would say. But it doesn't mean that we can't make a new all-time high, throughout this month. I expect that we probably will, but it's going to be quite volatile. As volatility enters the market, that offers volatility both up and down. And so you've just got to bear all that in mind. We're above all major moving averages here on the daily. The MACD is crossing up also on the daily, and there's no particular warning signs on the daily RSI, but there is a lot of warning signals on the 3-day and on the weekly. So I am getting a little overcautious for when the new all-time high comes. Just in the event that we do have a significant pullback or correction after then, and that would coincide with the way that I'm viewing the Dixie, which is in an uptrend until we hit around 95, or maybe even higher. We just don't know yet. But we're in an uptrend with the Dixie, so if it gets more aggressive, then yeah. So I've got Ethereum here. So Ethereum to Bitcoin still, in my opinion, the best hedge against Bitcoin, as we've got higher highs, higher lows on this long-term daily. It makes more sense if we look at it on the weekly. So the weekly shows it a bit more clearer here. So there's plenty of room for Ethereum to move against Bitcoin. So there we go. So we've got higher highs, higher lows, uptrend of support. Obviously the support's not been respected perfectly, but this is a 15-month trend line, so we're not going to get it to the tick, but it generally is working okay. So this is one of the reasons why I've set a long-standing, and this bot is going to last for the year, and I'll show you my bots in a minute. A long-standing Ethereum to Bitcoin pairing with an enormous range. I've chosen my range to basically compensate for any move up and down within this kind of chart, which is a weekly. So if we go down any further, come all the way down to about here, then my bot will still benefit from that. Obviously, my portfolio size, the balance, probably won't benefit, but I'm ready for it. It's like an advanced hodl, is what I've done. But generally, when we're looking at Ethereum here on the daily, it is actually looking okay now. So yesterday I was saying how we're trending with Bitcoin, which we are. I mean, these charts are very much the same. We are trending with Bitcoin. We are reaching the top of this Bollinger Band here, which is fine. Probably looking for a little pullback at this level now, just as Bitcoin is retesting that support line. But things are looking pretty sweet, I have to say, for Ethereum at this level. Because once Ethereum starts to pick up its own pace and gather its own momentum, the momentum will pick up really fast. And I really would be looking for areas like we're talking about, I suppose, anywhere from 2,500 to into the 3,000 zone. But again, a lot of that is yet to be seen. We need to break away from Bitcoin at the moment. We're still very much trending with Bitcoin. But again, I'm bullish on the fact that we're still respecting this trend on the weekly. So I'm quite happy with Ethereum at this level because the downside isn't going to be particularly harsh in comparison to Bitcoin. And the upside is a lot more. So you've got a lot more reward to risk, and that's always how I like to play it. So let's have a quick overview of my bots here. So nothing particularly special, I have to say. So these are my futures bots that I've got going here. Very small. They're still in the test phase. This is, from what I understand, going to be released next week for everybody else to test. And these are working out okay. They're very small. They're like $100 each. So they've been going for a day, 2 days, and they're doing okay. 20% here, 26% there, 9% there. So not too bad overall. Overall, those futures bots are doing okay. But this is where the big guns are over here in my spot bots, and you'll see that obviously a lot less profit here because these are massive hedge against both sides of the spectrum. So my daily profit here is tiny in comparison to the way I've used bots in the past. But the reason for it is that these are quite big positions. Between the two of them's half a Bitcoin between the two there, and I set these up at the time where I really didn't know. I wasn't confident enough in which direction the market was going to go. So I picked two assets to that's not one. That's my futures bot there. I picked two coins basically that had more upside than downside on their sats. YFI2. I spoke about this on a video not too long back. YFI2 has got plenty more upside than downside, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be any more downside. The range is pretty big here, and this is why my profit has been relatively limited. We've got 34% range there. Doesn't sound much when you talk about it, but it actually is kind of quite a lot when we're doing it with Bitcoin pairings. And this one is the mega sized bot. So this one is so much bigger. And again, this one particularly, my Ethereum bot, I'm planning on holding for the rest of the year. And if we have a look, we're on the hourly chart here, but this is basically the range, which is enormous. I'm prepared for an enormous amount of downside from the bottom to the top, 36% range against Bitcoin. I've always got a trailing up on, so if this breaks out of the range, obviously the chart moves up with it. But I am prepared for the worst of it. So I don't want to see any of these things go down. But if they do go down, my bots are very well adjusted to deal with a downside move. So that is basically all I've got for you on a bit of an overview of the market. I'm technically bullish now for April. It looks pretty good for April, but volatility will enter this market up and down. So today's been pretty good, and I'll make some more videos about some of these other coins that I've been not shilling, but calling for bottoms on. So I'm not going to bother with YFI2. We've just seen that, but things like XVG, very happy with the way that's turning out, and EOS as well is one of the top performers of today. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like when I make these calls for coins that are at the potential bottoms, it takes a little while for something at its bottom to pick up its pace, and I'll talk about that on my next video anyway. But yeah, it looks like they're picking up pace, which is good. And buying things at the bottom, as some of you may have realised, when we got in on Holochain and FET, on Seller, on Harmony One, there's a whole range of these tokens that we got in at the bottom. It can be slow, and you often doubt yourself, because you're waiting, everything else is moving. But then when it gets going, it gets very, very, very exciting, because you're basically more or less doubling your investment every other day at that point. But the problem with buying at the bottom is that it takes time. Because when you're buying something that nobody else is buying, there's no volume there, there's no volatility. And when the volatility comes back into the market, I mean, that it just gets pretty exciting. It's like a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme, and you're right at the top, and everybody else is beneath you, and you're basically making all the money. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. I'll make some more videos on some of these smaller coins now. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.